Thank you to all my channel members, including my fan appreciation level members and my contributor level members, for helping support the YouTube channel.
Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the book Empire of the Twin Suns. This is book 2 in the Words of Power series by Shami Stovall from Athen Books. I reviewed book 1 last month, Words of Power. It was fantastic. One of my favorite new reads of the year. I think that Shami knocked it out of the park with this book. And I also, after I read this, I was able to interview Shami, and we talked about the book. It was a great interview. Go check that out. But book 2 just released, and I read it as soon as I was able to get my hands on a copy, and I loved it. Not as much as book 1, as I'll talk about the differences, but I still loved it. If you are interested in this series, the Words of Power series, it's called a progression fantasy epic, and that might be kind of turn off people, because I know I was hesitant to go in, because a lot of people hear progression fantasy, they think of the Dungeon Crawler Carl style storytelling that's in Lit RPG, so they're kind of a little bit hesitant. Don't be hesitant. This is very easy to get into, and it's very story driven. The magic system is very present. The kind of leveling up system that you see in progression fantasy, where a character levels from one to the next, is also very much present in this. But it is it is secondary to the story, which I really liked. Same with Larry Correia's new Academy of Outcasts, which was also very similar in that it was a progression fantasy and the story came first. But in this series, to give you a brief overview of the general plot, especially what happens at the beginning of book 1, you have this character Ramon, who is basically a lowly servant in the Tsei Empire, which is a very much based off of Japan, Japanese culture. And in the Tsei Empire, he's just a lowly servant, and the Ring Warlock, who is essentially like a governor of a local province, dies in front of Ramon. Ramon takes his ring, which is what imbues him with power, and ends up leveling up, and ends up taking over that Ring Warlock's province. But as part of that, he has to consolidate power, he has to deal with the other Ring Warlocks, he has to earn the trust and the good of the people, and the Ring Warlocks are not good people. All these Ring Warlocks are power-hungry guys, and so the people don't trust him. And then you have the Emperor, who at the very end of book 1 calls Ramon to the capital to talk to him. And so you don't know why, you just know that the Emperor wants to talk to Ramon at the end of book 1. So book 2 is the basic plot, is about Ramon traveling from his province to the capital of the Tsei Empire to meet with the Emperor. And several elements of the story still really work here. The character of Ramon is a great guy. He is a great guy, a great character. Very much one of those characters in books where you read the book and so many people, the leadership are all terrible, and you have this one guy who's trying to do the right thing. That's very much what Ramon does. You also have the character of Ketsu, who is this scholar who's trying to advise him well, and you have his two Ryota and Mazen, who are his two blade keepers who are trying to protect him. You have some really good guys who are following our main character of Ramon, and you just really want to cheer for them. You really want him to be successful. You also see how he kind of has to consolidate power, because our main character of Ramon is not this kind of burn everything to ground, take what is his, and assert his dominance power. But he's also not timid. He's not the person who will let bad guys do stuff because he doesn't believe that he should do anything. He's the type that he will use his power when absolutely necessary, but will back off. And so when people cross him in this book and the whole series, you see him deal with them in creative ways. Almost inevitably, every time his advisor, the Warden, who is like this otherworld being who kind of advises him on stuff, the Warden will always tell him the most like power-hungry Machiavellian thing to do, and every time Ramon says, all right, I'm not going to do it your way, I'm going to think of a more creative way that is less Machiavellian and more good. And it's balanced, and it's just really creative stuff. So I think that Shami Stovall does a great job of dealing with those elements in the story. This book, more than book 1, is a travelogue. Book 1 is very much, anytime a character had to transfer somewhere, we get there really fast. In book 2, you spend the first 200-ish pages traveling from his province to, let's say, Empire's capital, the Ebon capital, which, by the way, if just that distance takes that much in this book, imagine if he had to go to the other side of the Empire, because, whoo boy, that's a lot of traveling. Although they do describe how he has to go over some mountains, whereas the rest of the Empire is more flat. But anyway, so the first part of it's very much a travelogue. He's staying with people along the way that are in his province. He's meeting people outside the province. He is dealing with these magical creatures, these demons that he's having to fight, which were all very interesting. He's also picking up concubines, which was a weird development, but is interesting. And so the book has some good storytelling in there. And then the second half of the book is very much, he's in the capital, he's having to figure out how to deal with the emperor. He's trying to figure out, what does the emperor want? How is he going to negotiate? How is he going to not just step into something and just die? Because he doesn't want to just, cross the emperor now, because he's not powerful enough to cross the emperor. So there's a lot of maneuvering that's happening in the second half of the book, especially when he gets to the capital. And I enjoyed the story in the second half, but when the book was kind of pitched in at the end of book 1 as, oh, you're going to go meet the emperor, I thought that would happen much earlier on. And so the emperor himself is very little actually present. His advisors show up a little bit at the second half, but the emperor does not show up that much in the book. And so I was kind of let down by that. I was like, it's like hiding your villain until the end of the third act. It's like, come on, show him earlier. That being said, there's still some really cool sequences here. I will say there was some stuff that I was like, Shami, why'd you have to do that in here? Some story decisions that I was like, I would have gone with a different direction than you went here. Most of the time, I think she went a great direction, but there were a few that I didn't like. And then there was just one inclusion of a character. For full transparency, I was just like, come on. And this character is only present for about 2 pages. So it is a blink and you miss it type thing. Like if your hand got stuck on, switching the page, you might even miss the character entirely. But there's a character, basically, to set the scene, he meets another character who has 12 daughters, and he's supposed to go and meet all of them, and then it turns out one of them's not a daughter, it's a son who is very effeminate looking, and he realizes it's a man who's presenting as a woman, and I was like, why'd you have to do that, Shami? Why'd you have to throw that in there? But other than that, I thought it was a very entertaining book. I think that just Shami has a way of just telling really fast-paced, generally fast-paced. I think book 1 is, even though it's longer, I think it's a more fast-paced book. But still, it's a very, very entertaining story. So I know that I had a lot more criticisms with book 2 than I did with book 1, but don't let that tell you not to read it, because I still really enjoyed it. I liked book 1 better. But it's still a really entertaining read. To tell you how I felt about it, I read the entire book in one evening. I just started reading it and just kept binging and binging and binging. And I was like, you know what? I was going to watch something tonight. I'm not going to watch it. I'm just going to keep reading the book. And so I just stayed up late, finished the book. So it kept my attention the whole time. So I did love the book. I gave the first one like a 9.5. Like, it was that good. The first one's just a 9, or the second one's just a 9. It's really good, and don't let that's like, it's really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I just have more criticisms, and I would say less criticism, more nitpick in that. So that's my review of Empire of the Twin Suns. If you've read this book, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.